one. Number one shit with your number one. You ain't number one.
What is up, my beautiful people? My name is G-Benz and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about the new album by Kyle entitled See You When I Am Famous with like 12 fucking exclamation marks. I don't know why. This is the second studio album by Kyle. Comes to us about 2 years since 2018's Light of Mine. That one I've had a bit of mixed feelings about because like on one hand I do appreciate like the sort of like sentimental like overall vibe that they get throughout that whole album of him like trying to like find his way around fame, you know, sort of like getting lost in fame at some point, but at the same time it had like too much of a sort of like mainstream vibe that like kind of disappointed me because you know, Kyle's old shit was like really underrated and it was like just super raw and real, and then this one kind of like it felt a bit different. So as you can obviously tell, that album cover is Kyle's senior photo, and See You When I'm Famous was actually his senior quote. And pretty much what I would describe this album is, think of it as a sort of breakup album, as Kyle says goodbye to old girlfriends, you know, old friends that he doesn't talk to anymore, and pretty much his whole hometown adventure as he goes on his journey to fame in Los Angeles. Honestly, I consider this a sort of prequel to the mixtape Beautiful Loser, because to me, it just feels that throughout this whole album, Kyle is sort of rapping and singing from the perspective of his 17-year-old self, you know, with those like big dreams, you know, not that much money, you know, just a really crazy dream that one day he's gonna be famous, and he's fucking determined for that to happen. If I'm being honest, Kyle's music started to become a bit unenjoyable when his last album came out. Like I said, that album was a fairly decent album, and you know, I did like enjoy a bit of it. But when I compare that to Beautiful Loser and to Smile, you know, it just doesn't hold a candle to it, in my opinion. When I was in high school, me and my buddy Jordan were really big fans of Kyle. You know, that was around the time when he wasn't like as famous as he was. You know, I think me and Jordan were probably the only two people who knew who he was before he got super fucking famous like he is now. You know, at the time Beautiful Loser came out, you know, my favorite project by him like of all time, you know, that was like so different, so like weird and unique, you know, this sort of like nerdy rap, you know, it had like a lot of great songs, you know, a lot of underrated tracks too, you know. I think I like every single song in that fucking album. And then a few years later Smile came out, and you know, that one had some pretty dope like songs in it too, you know, and some pretty like big time features, you know, with Chance the Rapper and a bunch of other people. You know, it was around that time where I think he was starting to get like a lot of more like attention. And then when I was a senior, you know, 2017 I believe, that's when the single I Spy with Lil Yachty came out. And honestly, I do think it's a really like catchy song. You know, I do think Lil Yachty had a big impact on that song and a big impact on Kyle in general. You know, I usually don't really like those type of songs, you know, those like weird and like fucking ridiculous ones, but I actually thought it was pretty catchy. But in my opinion, when that song came out, I feel like that was the start of me saying, yeah, Kyle is about to like not be himself anymore. And for the most part, that's true. You know, even Kyle has admitted it, you know, that he hasn't like really like kept it real after he like rose to fame. You know, he got lost in the fame and got like too comfortable with, you know, like being this like big shot that everybody loves. And you know, now with this new project, I feel that he has definitely improved a lot from Light of Mine, because if I'm being honest, this new project by Kyle is probably the best project I've heard from him in a fucking while. Kyle takes us on a big ass adventure throughout this whole album, as he not only shares the big accomplishments and, you know, the sort of like rewarding feeling when it comes to fame, but he also shares the consequences and, you know, sort of like what kind of like goes through your head, and how fame like really does fuck with an artist's like head, especially if it's like their first time like getting this unexpected like new like lifestyle of fame that they were not supposed to have. Kyle pretty much brings back his like old weird and unique style that I fell in love with back in high school, as he raps over a bunch of nerdy ass beats, you know, some video game inspired beats, some wacky trap beats, and just overall like once again brings back that nerdy vibe. Kyle does get a bit sad and a bit vulnerable throughout this whole album. You know, he is honestly reminiscing a lot on his high school days throughout this whole album, as he, you know, looks back on the past relationships that failed because of him, you know, the friends he lost along the way on his rise to fame, and just pretty much himself like also losing himself into the fame, you know, as he like tries to cope with this new lifestyle that he always wanted but never expected it to be this like really harsh and difficult to manage. You know, he pretty much like realizes and, you know, becomes a bit mature as he realizes that this like new life is not what he was expecting. And, now it's a time where he truly has to grow up, because he is not that kid anymore with those like big ass dreams. He is now an adult, and he has to like, he has a responsibility, because now he has a platform, and he's an icon to a lot of people. Honestly, this whole album is a mix of some pretty hype and happy and pretty like lit songs, and, a mix of like some pretty sad and vulnerable and relatable tracks. That's what I really like about it. It's not just one like whole big vibe. It's a much like diverse like vibe, and, that's why I think I really enjoy it, because it truly does remind me of the old like Beautiful Loser and Smile days. And of course, the guest list on here is really fucking great. It's so fucking incredible. A lot of big time artists this time throughout this whole album. I thought a lot of mine had a lot of like really big shot features, especially because it consisted of people like 2 Chainz and K.i.D and, Lil Yachty. But honestly, I think this fucking guest list is proof that Kyle has fucking made it. And although I could talk about all of them, I do have to talk about my top 3 like actual favorite features on this album. Rich the Kid and King Cap show up on this album on a track entitled Yes, and that one is this sort of like weird surf rock / trap sort of anthem. It sounds really weird. I never thought that surf rock and trap would be in the same fucking sentence. But honestly, it works out really fucking good. I think the whole purpose of like this song is for Kyle to like sort of like pay an ode to where he's from, Ventura, and Ventura is a pretty like big fucking surf town. I think if you go there, there's always a lot of people like fucking surfing on the beach and shit. Like it's pretty fucking cool. I just really enjoyed, sort of like Kyle like showing us like, where he truly is from, how he grew up in Ventura. And, obviously Rich the Kid is a really dope fucking rapper. I actually did not think I was gonna like this song because fucking Rich the Kid is in it, but he actually like sounded really good next to Kyle, and King Camp just has the fucking vocals of a fucking angel on this track, so I actually do really enjoy this song. Trippie Redd also makes an appearance on this album on a track entitled Forget, and that one is this sort of like emo rap mixed with rock sort of vibe, which I never thought Kyle would ever do like an emo rap vibe, but he honestly sounded really good, especially with someone like Trippie Redd. Like I said before, Trippie Redd is somebody who, in this world where emo rap has like risen to the fucking top these days, he is probably like an outcast from that whole like fucking scene, because he does know how to make some pretty decent songs. He really loves, rock and roll music, and he like really like has a good way of mixing that with the music he makes. But sometimes he does make this like these really bad and mediocre fucking songs. And once again, this is the feature with Trippie Redd that I actually really enjoyed. He sounds really good next to Kyle. This sort of like rock and emo rap sort of vibe just works so fucking well together. It sounded like a bit like an old school rock song, mixed with like a modern like emo rap twist. It just overall sounded so good. And I do actually hope that Kyle and Trippie Redd do making some more songs together, because I think they are a good fucking duo. And finally, Bryson Tiller of all people show up on this album on a track entitled The Sun. And I actually did not think I was ever gonna hear Bryson Tiller again. He came out with that album a few years back that wasn't as good as Trap Soul. I think Bryson Tiller is gonna be those people that like, his first album is like so fucking great, and now he can like really like make a better album than that. And that's kind of unfortunate, because I think this man has some really great vocals. He's a really great fucking songwriter. I've heard Trap Soul for the first time, I think like 5 years ago, and I fucking like just sat there like just like in awe. I was fucking speechless, because that's how good that fucking album was. And this fucking song right here just shows me why Bryson Tiller is still a really good fucking artist, and why he's a good fucking songwriter. Next to Kyle, he is so great. They made this sort of like peaceful and sort of like sentimental like classic R&B and sort of like beach soul music, which it just sounded so good. The storytelling that they both tell on this album is so great, like reminiscent on past love, reminiscent on just past struggles and shit. And like it just really like makes you feel at peace. And I'm just really glad like Kyle like gave Bryson a chance, because honestly this song should like pretty much like prove and make everyone like remember that Bryson Tiller is like a really like big force to be reckoned with. And I do hope that he does make a comeback soon. If I had to choose a favorite track on this album, it had to be the track entitled Mr. Man and K.I.D, because that one features his longtime friend Mr. Man, who has been working with him since the fucking K.I.D days. You know, that's when Kyle's rap name was just K.I.D. And what I really like about this song is this sort of like classic tag team fucking rap song that Mr. Man and Kyle do. You know, they did that a lot back in the days. You know, Mr. Man shows up on a song in A Beautiful Loser called Bang. You know, that's like so fucking good. You know, every time they make a song together, you know, they just always like sort of challenge each other. You know, it's sort of like they're on a competition on who can like rap better, who can be like a better fucking lyricist, who can come up with the best like fucking punchlines and metaphors. And that's what I really like about it. You know, it's a really hardcore and lyrical song, you know, where both Kyle and Mr. Man test their skills, and it once again gives me that classic like Beautiful Loser vibe. And you know, I just really enjoyed for the first time in a long time hearing Mr. Man again on a Kyle track. Honestly, there's only like 2 tracks on this album that I don't like, and one of them was the song Bouncing. You know, it's the opening track to the album, and the reason I don't like it is because it was like too like mediocre for me, you know, too mainstream, especially for someone like Kyle. You know, that song just sounded as if he attempted to make a really like great and catchy top charting song that would make it to the radio, and it just didn't fucking work out. You know, he used way too much auto-tune, and it just, you know, it wasn't really a memorable song in general. And the other song I didn't like that much was the track entitled Girls with Rico Nasty, which I felt was a bit unfortunate. You know, that song is sort of the equivalent to how I Spy with Lil Yachty was, only this one is a bit more annoying and a bit more unbearable than I Spy. And you know, I just felt it was super unnecessary. You know, it was like a really like dumb song that I think he was obviously trying to have fun with, but you know, it just didn't work out. And you know, it's kind of unfortunate because Rico Nasty is somebody who, you know, I'm not a big fan of, but I've heard a few of her like shit, you know, and a few of her ciphers, and she is honestly like a really dope fucking lyricist. And to just sort of like waste her potential and talent and put her on a really stupid song like this, it just sort of like, it was sort of a waste of a feature spot in my opinion. But besides those 2 tracks that I had a problem with, the rest of the album is honestly really good, and like I said, is in my opinion easily better than Light of Mine. Overall, Kyle delivers a really great sentimental and a really great storytelling like album, and just a really like great album to sort of like keep you at peace and to sort of like make you like have fun. You know, I really enjoyed this album, and I think it's living proof that you don't have to be a traditional like, you know, hardcore rapper to be a fucking masterpiece. So yeah, I highly recommend this album to each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed my review, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell down below, all that good stuff, so you don't miss a single one of my uploads whatsoever. And don't forget to stay happy.
It's K.i.D. I need the big crib in Montecito. I'm sipping Pinot, chain wetter than El Neo. Yeah, I do you some, but you better come with the feed, cause the only thing I'm talking about free is